Right, so we're going to talk about the constant of proportionality. Here's a big key though, that it's the same as the unit rate. So we're just finding the unit rate of everything. But we're just kind of taking a step further, and it has an equation, and the equation is y equals kx, where k is the constant of proportionality. Okay, so k is the constant of proportionality. And you can find that by doing y divided by x. Okay, so in order to find it, we have to determine in the problem what's y and what's x. We have to find the k then, find the k using the equation y over x. And then we have to rewrite our answer. So let's do it from a table. So here's important things about the table. We have x and we have y. Remember, the constant of proportionality is y over x. So you can pick any value you want in the table. I'm just going with the first two. Okay, so y is 15 and x is 5. So what does that simplify to? Well, that simplifies to 3. So that means k equals 3. So in our equation, y equals kx, we now have what k is. So we can rewrite it as y equals, since we know that k is 3x. And that's our answer. So we're just taking two numbers, dividing them, and then plugging them into the formula. So there's something special about a graph though. Okay, so we've done this from graphs before. We have to find a ordered pair, right? So we can choose any one of these ordered pairs on the graph. I'm going with the second one now. I'm doing that because I can actually see those numbers. So it's 2 and 10. Remember that this is y and this is x. So my formula is y over x, remember. So our y value is 10, our x value is 2, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So then that's our k value. So again, plugging it into the formula, y equals kx, we have y equals. But remember, we said there was something special about graphs this time, and it has to go through the point 0, 0. So it has to go through this corner right here, 0, 0. That's also called the origin, and that's what you're going to hear me saying all the time. It's got to go through the origin. Okay. So sometimes you can get it from an equation. Remember, our equation is y equals kx. And it says the constant of proportionality. Well, that's our k. That's our k. We want to figure out which k is equal to 1/5. Well, that's a 5. That's a 1/5, so it's B. But look at C. It's got 2y and 10x. So y is not alone. So we have to solve that equation, using a little Rivery-Johnsky. And so we have to solve this to see. So we divide by 2, and we get y equals 10 divided by 2 is 5x. So that's not what we're looking for. So try D right now. Try solving D using the little river right now for me. When you solve this, you probably got y equals 2/10 x. But if you simplify that, because that's not simplified, you'd get, divide them both by 2, you get 1/5 x. So it's also D. Here's a decimal, so we have to figure out what that decimal is as a fraction. So it's 0.2, so this is the 10th place. So it's 2 over 10, which again simplifies to 1/5. So this is really 1/5 x. So that's also one of ours. Okay, and F is not. So we got B, D, and E. From a word problem, this is what we've been doing. Just find the unit rate. So we want to do miles over hours. So we have 17 miles and 5 hours. We can do 17.5 over 5. Divide that out. and you get 3.5. So that means in our equation, y equals kx, we have y equals 3.5x. Okay, so that's how you find it using the different methods. But let's talk about when we use this, because we can only use it on certain things. So we have to talk about whether things are proportional or not. So in order for something to be proportional, the unit rate has to be equal. So all the unit rates have to be equal. So let's look at this. We do, a table always goes x then y. So let's find the unit rate. So what's 5 divided by 1? Well, that's 5. 10 divided by 2, that's 5. 15 divided by 3, that's 5. 35 divided by 7, that's 5. 50 divided by 10, that's 5. So are those all the same? Yes. So it's proportional because all the unit rates are equal. Looking at the equation, that is in proper form, aka y equals kx. So if it's in y equals kx, then it's good. There's nothing else happening, okay? There's no like +7 or +2 or anything like that. An ordered pair. So what's important to remember about an ordered pair is that it goes x comma y, x comma y. So we do y over x. So we're doing 3 and 1.5 and 10 and 5. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 3 divided by 1.5 is 2. So they're equal. Unit rates equal. So there's two things about a graph that we need to know. We've talked about the first one though. It has to go through the origin. So it has to start at origin or 0, 0. And this graph does, it starts right there at 0. And then it also has to be a straight line. Because some lines could go like whoop, or like whoop, or they can curve. So there's a bunch of different lines, but since this one's straight, then it's good. And then there's word problems. So remember, a unit rate has to have a denominator of 1. So since it says per hour, let's assume that it's per 1 hour. So then it's written as a unit rate. Okay. So now that you know from each one how they are proportional, let's figure out how they're not proportional. So I want you to try to find the unit rate of this whole table. So find unit rate for me now. Okay, so take a moment, find the unit rates for each one of those. Hopefully you did. 100 divided by 1 is 100. 300 divided by 3 is 100. 600 divided by 6 is 100. But 550 divided by 5 is 110. Are those equal? No. So the unit rates aren't equal. Are not equal. So that's why it's not proportional, because they all aren't the same. Is this equation in proper form, y equals kx? Hopefully you're thinking, no, it's got that extra +8. So that means it's not proper. So it's not proper form. Okay. Ordered pairs. You know how to do that. Do x over y. Remember, it's x, y, x, y. So find the unit rate for those. When you did, you should have gotten 4 and 3. Are those equal? No. Unit rates not equal. Okay, so remember, let's look at the graph now. In order for a graph to qualify, it's got to be a straight line, which this is. So is it straight? And does it go through the origin? Well, it is straight, but does it go through the origin down here? No. So it does not start at the origin. Okay. And the last one is a word problem, and we want that it's a denominator of 1. But this says it's 550 plus 50 for a ride. So it's 5 plus. That's not a unit rate. Not unit rate. Okay, so that's how you tell if things are proportional or not.